All right, welcome into another Lunation astrological forecast and energy reading. I hope everybody is doing wonderful as you come into this space and that you're at peace and you feel blessed and you're happy and all of those amazing things that we deserve in life. Before we get into this, I just wanted to take a moment and thank each and every one of you for dedicating yourself in this way, in this space with me as part of the Collapse Codes ecosystem. Not only does it mean the world to me, but it is my greatest honor to be in this position to guide in the way I have been led to guide. So I hope that you find these things helpful to you as far as your soul's evolution is concerned and that you're enjoying your membership. Feel free always to reach out to me with questions or concerns. I'm always happy to help. So let's get into this a little bit before we really dive in. This Leo full moon is happening at 13 degrees and 2 minutes of Leo, 5:09 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on February 1st. You might adjust that a little bit for where you are on the planet. Man, it's really going to immediately pull us into some questions of leadership, especially in our lives. And it's not just going to really highlight like who we are, but it's going to highlight who we allow ourselves to be when we don't have anybody affirming it back to us. Leo lunations in particular really illuminate the relationship between, our inner child and the crown. And they really show us where we might lead from where we lead from confidence, but also where we lack confidence to lead. And then where we might do things out of this feeling this need to compensate. Okay. And so what makes this one really distinct is that it's not an indulgent full moon. It's going to be extremely clarifying though. And there's going to be a sense of this sort of emotional exposure, but thank God without all the theatrics. Okay. Leo it really isn't at its purest form is not about being seen for the sake of being seen. It's really about being seen accurately for who we truly are. So let's move into the next slide here and talk about the core axis that is being activated. Of course, that is between Leo and Aquarius. And whenever Leo and Aquarius are activated together, we are dealing with the friction between our personal truth and what the collective architecture is. Because Leo is saying and wants to say, this is who I am. But Aquarius is wanting to ask, how does that fit into the bigger picture here, into the larger system? And so under this full moon, the system really pushes back. You could feel questioned. You could feel like you're under evaluation or being observed instead of celebrated. And I just want you to keep in mind, I don't want any of you to take that as rejection in whatever form it shows up in your life. Okay. It's there to help calibrate you. And so this axis in particular, is really asking us whether our self-expression is going to be aligned with the actual contribution that we're making or whether it has become more of a performative thing. And this is going to be an axis that matures. It's going to really help us kind of refine our identity, but it might feel a little prickly. There might be a little bit of friction there. Let's talk about the emotional climate with this full moon. It's not really explosive. It might feel a little tight, a little snug. Okay. There's going to be some pressure, I feel, behind the heart. But there's also going to be this desire to be like understood without having to explain ourselves all the time, right? And you might notice that people around you or yourself may feel really emotionally visible, but also feeling unsupported at the same time. This might play out in people showing up very pridefully, maybe defensively. For some, you could notice withdraw. Okay. But the deeper layer here is vulnerability. That's the deeper truth of this. And, the heart wants recognition, but sometimes our psyches are actually being asked to self validate instead of feeling like it's like a pacifier or being pacified really by some kind of recognition. So if emotions really feel restrained or unacknowledged, I just want you guys to be aware that that's part of the teaching of this full moon. All right, and so let's look at the luminary relationship here. The moon in Leo is really heightening this emotional truth, right? This authentic truth. Feelings, as we know, cannot be outsourced or rationalized away. They tend to just kind of grow, and you've heard the saying, like, we bottle it up, we're going to explode, right? Meanwhile, you have the sun in Aquarius bringing this objectivity and this detachment and this like bigger, more long range perspective. And this is creating like this internal dialogue between this, like this feeling, but also needing to frame that. What you feel is true, and what the larger picture in your mind suggests. You might be asking, like, is this really sustainable? And so, if something is going to feel emotionally real for you, you might notice that, like, structurally, it's unsupported. And this full moon is going to show you that gap. Um, you don't need to suppress the emotion. That's not the goal here. It's actually, I feel like, going to be asking you to contextualize it. So I want to take a look at the collective atmosphere of this. Okay. Um, yeah, this is really going to pull a focus toward leadership roles. It's going to pull a focus toward visibility, towards the influence that we're having or the influence that others have. Um, this is a bit of a collective fatigue with any sort of ego driven authority that's in play right now, or in our lives. People are a lot less tolerant of like this so-called like symbolic kind of leadership, and much more attuned to things that have substance, things that have weight behind it. Um, Movements, organizations, even public figures, of course, people that are in the public eye, um, are going to be evaluated. And it's not about like the charisma that they have, it's going to be about the consistency that they show up with. That emotional tone is going to be extremely sober. And the collective wants to know who can actually hold responsibility, who can be trusted, um, without like all this posturing. This is going to be a bit of a sorting mechanism with this full moon. All right, and that brings us to the world stage. This is something that I've been including in your weekly astrology as well, how we may see this on the world stage. I'm including it here as much as I can, or where I feel like it might be fitting to put it, where I feel led to. So it may not be every time, but as certainly as we move through February and March, as we have all these out of planets moving into Aries, are certainly going to be worth talking about. So on the global level, these Leo full moons in particular are going to coincide with these moments where power might be challenged openly. At the time of recording this, I can already kind of see where that might be in play, even before leading up to this full moon here. But this time, the challenge isn't going to be dramatic. It's going to be very systematic. You might expect moments where public figures might be forced to respond to things. I want to say versus like performing their duties, just kind of quelling the storm, if you will. You might notice where narratives are disrupted, especially because Aquarian energy, right? Very analytical, but data disrupted by like things coming out, exposure. That's sun energy. It's conscious awareness. It's bringing illumination. There could be also something like disrupted in the collective, or like where you might see like a withdrawal of support. Aquarius brings this technology aspect. It brings in this networking component, even the public opinion into the mix. And so, authority that relies on admiration, that ego driven place, right, is going to struggle here. You're going to notice that any authority that is rooted in competence and is rooted in consistency is gonna stabilize, okay? Let's talk about, on an individual level here, okay? There's going to be a bit of a mirror that you didn't ask for. It's really going to show you, though, how you're actually showing up and not how you intend to, but how you actually are. And many people are going to recognize where they've been overgiving emotionally or hoping for some kind of acknowledgement that never really shows up. Or you could have some that might realize that they've been hiding behind humility to avoid taking up space. That's also going to be something that shows up. And this is really a moment of emotional truth telling. It's going to be quiet, but it's going to be firm and it's going to be absolutely irreversible what this reveals. Okay. What it's going to illuminate for us. Something I did want to point out are the most impacted signs and placements here. Those with fixed placements, of course, Scorpio, Taurus, Aquarius, and Leo, of course, are going to feel this most intensely. Fixed signs resist change under pressure. And the pressure, though, is going to force some kind of clarity for those fixed energies. So if you have personal planets in Leo or Aquarius specifically, this may feel like a direct confrontation with identity. For Taurus and Scorpio, on the other hand, you might experience this through control. Um, you might experience like what be questioning rather your like emotional investment in things, or where you might place where's the value really at, or the value I'm giving, or is there value here for me? Those things could come up. This is a sense of being pushed to release like a stance that we've had that we can't hold on to anymore. House placements are going to matter here, especially the fifth and the 11th house activations are going to bring questions of purpose. Um, like if what we're participating in serves a purpose or if it holds purpose for us. So this, of course, brings us to our fire signs. So Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius. This full moon is going to be a lot less about the ignition aspect, okay, of the ignition energy, rather, of fire. And it's going to be more about the containment of it. Um, Fire is abundant right now, but it's being watched very carefully. Actions being watched very carefully. The question here is not whether you have the ability to lead, whether you're capable, right, to lead, or even to create or initiate. Those are all things that fire represents. The question here is really going to be about whether this fire is is disciplined enough to be trusted. And so Leo placements feel this the most, obviously, personally. Um, there's going to be this emotional exposure that really strips away the bravado. If confidence for you has been built on any kind of attention, this full moon is really going to test that durability. And so you might feel seen without being celebrated, but you also may notice that this could trigger some kind of defensiveness or withdraw. And that reaction is going to be the work for you. Okay. For Aries, in particular, there's going to be friction around authority. Uh, Not really the external authority, but it's this impulse. It's the authority that you have over the impulse that you carry. And that's not a bad thing. It serves its purpose. It's just, are we managing that properly? You might notice that acting quickly may feel really tempting, But this full moon is really going to ask you to show up with this conscious leadership over that instinctual dominance that Aries so beautifully embodies. And so pausing before really asserting yourself is going to change an outcome entirely for you. I imagine that you may feel some pressure to act on something. So just make sure that we're pausing, okay, before we do that. Think before acting, as we were told in kindergarten. Um, okay, and then Sagittarius, you might encounter some integrity checks. And this may be like where belief systems have maybe become performative or dogmatic. You're going to notice that reality really pushes back on that. So, something that's coming up for Sagittarius placements is that trust has to be lived. Okay. It's not something that we can just kind of proclaim. It's going to have to be acted out in everyday life. And so, fire signs, you're really being taught that mature leadership doesn't necessarily require that constant motion. Sometimes the most powerful fire that you can embody is the one that really holds steady, that burns through the night. Okay. So that's going to bring us to our earth signs, of course, and that's going to be Capricorn, Taurus, and Virgo. There we go. Um, so earth signs. This full moon, I feel like, is going to really present itself. You're going to experience it as a pressure point around value. For some of you, effort, Capricorn, and an emotional return. That's going to be, that Virgo energy there. There is a bit of an underlying question that I feel like surfaces with this full moon for you about asking yourself, like, if what you're building is really going to be aligned with who you're actually becoming now. Um, and so, Taurus, you might feel really challenged around like worth and recognition. Um, you might also equate your worth with recognition. So this just keep in mind, okay? This is not about how many digits are in your bank account or money alone. All right. It's going to be about, for you in particular, whether stability has become like the shield against change that is necessary. And you might find during the lunation that holding on too tightly to what feels really safe might be a bit heavier for you during this time. And it's not going to feel not the grounding kind of heavy, like the I need to get out from under this weight kind of heavy. Okay. That's going to bring us to Virgo. And Virgo, I feel like you'll experience this by noticing like some kind of subtle imbalances. And those imbalances are going to be recognized between like contribution and leadership. Like you might look at somebody and be like, they're not a real leader, or you might think that you can lead better because you contribute more. You might notice it too, where you have been maybe indispensable. And I want you to notice, if that is the case, that you might find there's some resentment there that could come up for you. This full moon in Leo is really going to ask you to reframe how you choose to serve, and not from a place of obligation either. Okay. Capricorn, you're really going to confront some leadership fatigue, I feel like, for you. Responsibilities that you may have been carrying, they might have at one point felt really purposeful, but now they might feel a bit extractive for you. And so I feel like this full moon for you guys is really going to be a moment to reassess where authority might be being carried out in your life out of from a place of habit. Um, and you might be noticing that it's not really aligned for you anymore. Okay. And so, earth signs, you are really being asked to redefine what success looks like to you, and not through the how much output you have, but more so through what's really going to be sustainable for you. Okay. All right. So this is bringing us, of course, to our air signs. That's Gemini, Libra, and Aquarius. And man, for you guys, I feel like this is all about awareness, more than it is emotion. Okay. So you'll notice with this full moon that thoughts are coming up first and then feelings are going to follow later. Aquarius placements. Okay. You're in direct line of this. You're going to feel really directly challenged by the opposition here. There is a bit of like a spotlight on how neutrality and detachment, or even like your intellectualizing, has been used to avoid vulnerability. Please don't shoot the messenger. This full moon is going to help you with this because it's asking whether like the objectivity has become a bit of a hiding place for you. Okay. Okay. I just be it's almost like coming up against a brick wall, like a realization in a way around that for you guys. Libra, this is gonna make you acutely aware of relational dynamics that you might have around visibility for sure. But also something around like these dynamics around like fairness being highlighted. Like, is something fair? Is what I'm involved in fair? Am I acting fairly? Is the other person acting fairly? This kind of thing. And so, if balance has been maintained at the cost of your self expression, this full moon is going to bring this quiet dissatisfaction into focus for you. Gemini is you're going to experience some narrative shifts. You're going to I feel like you're going to observe them before you experience them, but it's going to happen. You might notice that some conversations change tone. Someone changes their tone with you. You could notice that there's going to be some information that's going to reveal some emotional undercurrents. And I'm going to tell you, those aren't going to be able to be explained away. For Gemini, okay, this is going to be an invitation to speak more honestly. And that's going to be more honestly, even if the clarity is a bit destabilizing temporarily, but destabilizing nonetheless. Okay. And so air signs are really being asked to let the heart inform the mind and not the other way around. All right. And of course, our lovely water signs here, Cancer, Scorpio, and Pisces. Ooh, you guys are going to experience this more internally, I feel. There may not be some, let me put it this way. There's not really going to be any sort of obvious external triggers here for you, but there's going to be some emotional memory that really becomes active. You might pick up some old themes of belonging, some old narratives around loyalty. There could be like feelings of like this desire for emotional safety that kind of services for you. It just keep in mind that it's not something that needs to be relived here, okay? But it's for you to reframe, to recontextualize. That's the reason it's coming up. So Cancer, okay, you guys may really feel this protective instinct in you intensify. You might notice there's going to be a reassessment of where emotional energy where it's been invested and whether it has been reciprocated in a meaningful way. Okay. Scorpio, okay, you guys are really going to sense some power dynamics beneath the surface here. The Leo full moon is really going to heighten the awareness of emotional leverage. It's going to heighten the awareness of where there might be some control, whether from you or from another person. There might even be some unspoken contracts that are kind of revealed to you, okay, or illuminated to you. The thing to keep in mind is that if it's not mutual or if it's no longer mutual, um, it's going to be a bit impossible to ignore. Okay. And it's going to kind of force you into a position to have to do something about it. That brings us to Pisces. Pisces, just a heads up. Okay. You may experience some kind of disillusionment. Um, this could be your ideals. This could be leaders that might be around you, or again, maybe leaders in your life that you have that you maybe look up to. This could be dreams. Okay. And if they're dreams, I want to say they're going to feel a lot less solid than they once did. The key for you guys is really not to experience this as a loss. You're just being asked to refine these things. You're going to notice that the fog really lifts enough to see what's real. Okay. So, again, there could be a bit of a disillusionment there. And for my water signs in general, just, you're really being asked to feel deeply without absorbing any sort of responsibility for other people's emotional processes. Okay. So that's going to bring us to some shadow dynamics here. I had a hard time with this slide, but this, hear me out. Um, the shadow expression, okay, of the Leo full moon revolves around identity distortion. Um, Not necessarily arrogance, okay, or like pride and ego. A lot of people think that pride is the shadow of Leo, but it could be like fragility, okay. But when the sense of self really depends on being mirrored or praised or needed or getting that applause, confidence can really become conditional. So this lunation is going to expose where um, emotional power might have been outsourced, um, possibly where approval has been replaced. S- yeah, I want to say approval's been replaced, right? We're not trusting ourselves. Um, you might notice like desire for approval instead of trusting our internal knowing. Okay. So just keep your eyes out for where that may, or your awareness around where that may show up for you. I want to say that we may pick up areas of our life, and it's nothing to be ashamed of, but we may pick it up, okay, where like performance has really been mistaken for authenticity, where we've been performing more than being who we really are. And this again might bring up some defensiveness or withdraw, or we might see some egos flare. Um, but again, I don't want anyone to look at this like this failure or anything that they need to be ashamed of. They're just signals. And they're really going to reveal where the self has been over identified with maybe an outcome rather than the essence of who we are. And so the work here is going to be reclaiming our inner authority and not needing someone else's agreement. Okay. It's we're going to be moving past that for sure. All right. So the integration work here, the integration and application. Um, the integration is going to be quiet here. Okay. It's not going to be dramatic. It might look like stepping back without disengaging from something. It could look like choosing our discernment over like the need to react. It could look like maybe allowing recognition to arrive organically or not at all. And so this is going to be a really powerful moment for all of us to release roles that require us to contort ourselves emotionally, and really to stop negotiating our presence here, um, to step into leadership where we feel aligned, and then being okay with disengaging where we might have tolerated um, wherever it was that we were giving our energy, right? Um, maybe even disengaging from things that don't show us the respect that we deserve. So authority is going to really become embodied now. It's not going to need to announce itself as we integrate this full moon, okay? And it's not going to happen overnight. This is going to be an integration. So just keep in mind that what stabilizes, okay, after this full moon in Leo, that is going to be the thing that's sustainable. Anything else that falls away, that was just maintained by our effort alone. All right. All right. So in closing, uh, keep in mind, okay, this full moon is marking a bit of a turning point in how power is held, not seized. Okay, it's not about seizing it. It's not about it's not about how it's displayed. It's how it's held, how the power is held. And so I wouldn't be surprised if this closes a chapter where our identity was shaped by um, response, what kind of response we were getting. It's going to really open a chapter where just our presence is enough. Okay. So if you feel quieter after this lunation, there's a consolidation happening. If something ends for some of you, I feel like it's going to do so without any sort of chaos or drama. If something stays around, if something is sustainable and it sticks around, it's going to do that because it's real. It's going to stay because it's real. This is not a full moon of applause. Okay. This is about earned authority in our lives. So let's go ahead and get into the energetic reading portion. All right, let's get into this here and see what energy is supported here during this Leo full moon that we're having. Again, that's happening February 1st, 2026. If you missed the astrology for February and the reading for February, that's been posted. So go back a video or two, you'll find that there. All right, show me the overall energy, please, for this full moon. There's Leo right there, King of Wands. Beautiful. Okay, let's take a look at the challenge that we could face here for this full moon. We have the King of Swords. Our mind might be getting in the way of some kind of action, or there could be some kind of lack of clarity that we are working with. Now, if that is the case, I can tell you that in February, that clarity is going to come through. Okay. If like I need more clarity before I can take action, I'm telling you, February is going to be a month where you're going to be able to do that or gain that clarity. All right. Can you show me what do we need to be wrapping up or closing out here with this Leo full moon? Strength. This can be resisting. That's also Leo energy. I'm also, again, Aquarius. So we're in Aquarius season. So I'm not surprised to see that. Where should we put our focus here for this full moon? Wow. This showed up in the February reading. This is about really tapping into our intuition and our feminine energy, whether you're male or female. So giving the divine feminine in you. Okay. Again, whether you're male or female, no matter who you are, we all have it. Those of you that are here know this. I've harped on it long enough. This is about giving it some clout, giving that energy some weight. Okay. Letting that have some authority in your life. And okay, can you show me what's going to be illuminated here? Okay, 3 of Cups. This could be the right people, the right environment here. This could also be like something should actually be celebrated. Okay, or there could be a need, like a revealing of something that needs to be coming together. Okay, all right. Let's go back to the King of Wands here in the overall. Show me this King of Wands energy and the overall energy of this full moon. Show me the overall energy, please, of the King of Wands. 8 of Pentacles. Yeah, this is certainly about initiating something. For some of you, this is like maybe putting some sort of creative idea into action, okay? Because the King of Wands can be creativity, it can be leadership. There might be something about like self confidence that's needed in order to take action. It's taking action because something is could be resonant for us emotionally. It's some sort of emotional truth that we are again gaining clarity around. It's like I feel like this is the right direction to go, but I don't know that it's the right direction to go. You see what I'm saying? That's why this is showing up in the challenge. Um so there's some I feel like there's maybe some confidence again. Let's focus on the divine feminine. Divine feminine would rule the emotions, right? That feminine energy holds emotion. So some of this could be about like letting that again have some sort of authority in your life here. Letting it have some say, not putting it on the back burner, not putting it on the shelf here and like, okay, I'll make note of what you're telling me, right? I'll make note of what I'm sensing and feeling, but I'm not gonna act on that. I'm gonna keep it over here because I'm not clear. So for some of you, this might have to do with work or something that you feel like you need to put your time, attention, energy into, something that you might need to, or you feel like you might need to perfect. Okay. They're highlighting they're showing me these fish here as like barracuda. That could be that there's like some kind of fear that you have around like listening to that could like eat you alive, if you will. I heard barracuda and then I look and I see like fish that look like barracuda. Okay, show me the King of Swords, please. Show me this King of Swords. Okay. Yeah, the 8 of Wands is coming out in the reverse. So there's the challenge is taking action. I feel like you can't really see something kind of clearly. It's like you can't see around a curve. You can see up to a certain point, but once you get like there's this curve here, you can't see like what's around the bend. That's how this is coming through. So the challenge is actually taking the action. Again, inspired action. Based off how we're feeling, what we feel. You may be thinking that some doing that in that way is like impulsive, or it's irresponsible. Yeah, but there's something about like we're putting this divine feminine energy to the side. We're not letting it have its say. Um, it's kind of its tone is being diminished. Okay, we have the Page of Pentacles. And we have the King of Pentacles. There could be some concern around like financial things or like, I'm not sure that this is a responsible action to take. I'm not sure that this is the right way to go. It's like something that would require some tending to, some effort is what I'm getting. In order to really ground it. Give me a little more here in the challenge with the Page of Pentacles, King of Pentacles. Look at that, 10 of Pentacles. Yeah, I feel like you're wanting some sort of sense of security about taking the action. You want some sort of sense of security and where you're going to land. By the way, I did see that you land in very solid ground in February. Okay, by the end of it, that was the last card in February. This is where it was the 10 of Pentacles. So, yeah, and there was some fears showing up. So go watch February. That might help kind of steer you as far as this full moon is concerned. Give you some deeper insight into how the month plays out. But we can't see around the bend here. Worried that something is like you don't have all the answers or you don't know all the hiccups. You can't plan for everything because the King of Swords is a planner. They're a strategist. They analyze the data, right? And I feel like there's like you can't possibly plan for every variable. Yeah, I'm hearing anything could happen. So this is trusting the knowing, this emotional knowing, this intuitive, more importantly, okay, intuitive knowing. Emotions and intuition go hand in hand, and not putting it on the back burner, not putting it on the shelf, not just making a note of it, letting it have some real weight, some authority in your life. Okay, let's look at the strength energy here. What needs to be let go of, what needs to be closed out. This feels like resistance to me. Yeah, resistance to change. Okay. I think we all struggle with it a little bit, right? We have the Magician. Yeah, I'm just getting here that in order to create something new, in order to manifest the kind of environment, the kind of relationship, the kind of career, the whatever, okay, situation that you want, we have to be open to changing. Um, we can't resist some kind of change. Yeah, I feel like you again, it feels like you really want this sense of security to be like, yeah, it feels risky. The security of it feels risky is what I'm picking up, and there's fear around this. That's where there's resistance at. I'm not sure that doing this is going to be secure. I'm not sure that it's the responsible thing. Can you tell me what's getting in the way? What's causing the resistance? Yeah, it's wanting to have some kind of control, needing to have control. There's the tower. It's not going to be able to be controlled. It's going to become like this. It could become a tower moment if we don't engage with this actively as far as allowing the change to take place. It's a lot about surrender to something that is supposed to play out. Okay. And again, I've been telling you guys, watch the readings that we do together from a collective lens first, and then go back and watch it again from an individual lens, through an individual lens. But yeah, this could feel a little risky. Okay. Again, it doesn't feel like secure. That's where the fear is at. That's why we're not taking action. It's kind of a new experience, or it's a new idea. It's like new ground that we're paving some sort of new path here, and we're not sure how it's going to work out. Again, this is the masculine energy that's overpowering the feminine when we're supposed to be letting the feminine have some sort of some important influence here. Excuse me. Okay. So it's really the masculine right now, other than the taking action. Okay. But that's going to come later. That needs to be kind of set on the side or made a note of. Okay. Like, I recognize your fear and your need to control and make sure that something is a certain way, right? We want to have control over this area of our life. Like, for example, we want to have control over our resources and our finances. But I feel like when we allow this feminine energy to have some kind of hold some sort of weight and authority in our life, the masculine will step aside and allow the feminine to take the lead. Again, in your life, okay? Again, watch this from two lenses. You could also watch this from your masculine perspective and your feminine perspective. Perspective. So you can shift gears here on how you approach this reading. And maybe we need to watch this 4 times: masculine, feminine, collective, individual. Okay. Let's look at the High Priestess and the Empress again, where our energy and time and attention needs to be focused. Again, allowing the feminine energy to have some sort of authority. Yes. Okay. 4 of Cups. The Star. It's like the masculine knows, okay, that I can make it happen. I can keep this container very well put together. I can fix the cracks. I can do all that, right? But we're actually being asked to pay attention to what our intuition is telling us, because it's trying to lead us like out of disappointment into fulfillment, right? I feel like that's going to be highlighted here. We have the 2 of Pentacles. Yeah, we don't trust our divine feminine energy enough, is what I'm seeing. And the Moon, more feminine energy. I'm getting that this is like an epidemic in our energetic fields where we fear the feminine's authority. I feel like we can see this even. I don't claim to be a feminist or anything like that. Okay, so I don't want you to take me wrong. This is energy. And so energetically, there has been a suppression of like the feminine energy. Like, if you read even like the scriptures that have been translated into English, right? You see like a buffering of the feminine energy, a suppression of it. And I feel like this is like conditioned in the collective energy in general, where again, there's feminine energy that has authority. This could be like, but I'm afraid to be seen, or what if. I feel like there's a lot of working through fears here that I'm picking up. again, allowing the divine feminine within you to have equal say as the masculine. The masculine, again, side of us wanting to control something, wanting to like fix the disappointment, wanting to patch the holes, okay, make something that has been still stand and well maintained. Um, but I feel like the feminine is really wanting some kind of surrender, um, asking for like allowing the input to be incorporated that's coming through. So again, pay attention to how you're feeling and what your intuition is saying. When you pair the two, you have an answer. You have unlimited access to the truth in the ethers, if you will. Okay. It's just whether you allow something to have an influence or not. And I feel like um this emotional intelligence and this intuitive wisdom is trying to lead us to, for some of us, healing on some level in our life. Um, for some of us, our purpose, stepping into our purpose. Healing always leads to your purpose, by the way. So, um, could be that. It could be some kind of fulfillment in our life in an area that has been not fulfilling. So yeah, there's a need to pay attention to what comes through and work through the fears that show up as we're working through that. Okay. The 3 of Cups here, what's going to be illuminated? What is going to be illuminated here? Okay, the 7 of Cups. What is going to be revealed? Look at that. The Emperor, the divine masculine energy, that feeling of like needing to control so things aren't in disarray or sticking to one path and not exploring other options. That is something that I think is going to be being addressed, that is going to be being seen more clearly in our lives. There's the clarity. Look at that, the King of Swords. It comes through looking at how your masculine energy, the masculine energy in general, is trying to control or maintain something. And there's the Tower. I think this is a huge wake-up call. I think it's a realization here in the collective that's going to be coming through. Again, it's going to be in your individual life as well. Some of you actively working with healing maybe your divine feminine energy. I utilized frequency music when I was working with my divine feminine. And I had it on all the time, like not when I was sleeping, because sleep is kind of sacred to me, if you will. I get a lot of messages in my dream state. But typically, like when I'm cleaning or when I'm sitting working, like that kind of thing. Okay. So maybe try to utilize that. Also, the heart center, working with the heart center. They're showing me strawberries for some reason. Not sure why they're showing me that. Sweetness. They're saying sweetness. Okay. 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 So yeah, the heart space. I'm also here. I'm hearing the sacral. Let's get a alchemy oracle here, and then we'll pull a crystal for to work with this full moon. Okay. Can you show me, please? Guidance, advice, reminders, clarity, confirmation here. Thank you. Okay. Dissolution. Solutio. Okay. Let's read this here. Dissolution. All right. And it says Solutio, it says surrender. Interesting. It says surrender, dissolving, formless. Solutio is the great alchemical operation of water. It represents the form becoming formless, that which is solid dissolving into liquid. In many alchemical texts, it is the first operation and summarizes the heart of alchemy. As in the axiom, solve, I'm going to dissolve to unite. Okay, solve et coagula. For our purposes, it is important to know solutio involves a dissolving of definitions, identities, and labels. The strongholds of the ego drown. The writing is like a unique font. So The strongholds of the ego drawn in the emotional realm of water. We dive back to the beginning, the prima materia. This operation is humbling and disorienting, and oftentimes feels as though the self we knew has disappeared. Who are we now? How will others describe us? When these questions are afoot, the alchemical magic of Solitio is underway. By surrendering to the waves, we unite with the primordial essence and return to our deepest self. If this card appears, take note. It indicates the ego is ready to be surrendered to something greater than itself. Hang on for the ride. Water is always in motion, much like our emotions. Solitio requires us to let the tears flow, to soften the edges, to soak in the healing waters of our feelings. Again, feelings being ruled by, or emotions being ruled by the divine feminine. Okay. Okay, let's break this down by element here. Give me a moment. I'm going to use Moonology. Okay, show me for fire signs, Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius. What is the overall energy here for my fire signs? And then we'll pull a crystal here toward the end. Overall energy for my fire signs for this full moon in Leo. Just a heads up, I may take these elemental portions and put them out collectively, like in shorts or something like that. I just want to give you guys a little heads up. Not the whole thing though. So expect powerful change, new moon eclipse. Now we have a new moon eclipse on the 17th of February. So a couple weeks and some change from this full moon. So okay, that is your Leo, especially that is your opposite sign, Aquarius is. So let's see what comes out here. Expect powerful change, new moon eclipse. I would pay attention, all elements. I would pay attention to this one as well, because of course this full moon is in Leo. All right, we have Temperance here. Yeah, King of Pentacles, Taurus energy. Sagittarius showing up there with Temperance as well. Okay, we have the Nine of Pentacles and the Queen of Pentacles. Very interesting. For some of you, there's an independence here that I'm seeing. For some, it could be between you and another person. I feel like it's some kind of separation. I feel like it's maybe not so much separation. It just feels like independence, autonomy. Okay, this could, again, be between you and another person. For some of you, this could be like something is better for you if you separate from something and do something on your own, maybe making your own decisions. So that could be something that's highlighted. That this could be like, you know what, in order for us to work through this or for this to work in general, we need some kind of balance, and that balance is going to come through our own autonomy and sovereignty within the environment. So I feel like that's something that's coming up. This may also help with some kind of mending or some kind of healing in a situation is what I'm seeing. All right, earth signs, Capricorn, Taurus, and Virgo, the overall energy, please, for my earth signs. Okay. We have work through your fears. Okay, earth signs. I was seeing a lot of earth here, especially a lot of Taurus. What else do we have earth-wise? Just Taurus is what I'm seeing mainly. So having said that, you could be, this could be fears around, like, again, the security that I was picking up, or the foundation of something, or, you know, fears around being irresponsible. It's not, I don't see that it's irresponsibility. It just feels unstable. It's like, I can't let this part of me have any sort of control because it has, you know, it can't maintain the way I do. Okay. It can't, it wouldn't support me the way this does. There's something different between what you're experiencing now and what you're being asked to step into. Show me the work through your fears here for earth signs. Interesting too that a lot of earth showed up here as well. Okay, so we have the Five of Cups. I think you're afraid to make a mistake. Some of you could struggle around that. We have the Six of Cups. Yeah, you're working, earth signs. I feel like you're really working with some childhood stuff here. Okay. Show me more. Yeah, something, I feel like this is, you're afraid to fail. You're afraid to make some kind of mistake. I feel like that's something, so maybe something from childhood really shows up for you. There's the King of Wands. Yeah, this could be somebody in your life when you were younger, may have wanted the limelight, may have wanted the attention. This could have been somebody who was an attention seeker. This could be somebody who wanted you to make them look good, okay? Wanted you to show up in a certain way so that they looked good. This could also be somebody who might have had a tendency to be angry, God forbid, violent, but I am seeing that for some of you. I just feel like this is tied to childhood. These fears are associated with maybe even someone's control in your life, okay? Um, but it feels like it comes from the past or when you were younger, probably as a child, and you probably had some kind of experience after childhood as maybe an adult, well, certainly an adult, that mirrored this as well. I'm getting okay. All right, let's look at my air signs: Gemini, Libra, and Aquarius. Happy birthday to all of my Aquariuses out there, of course. Okay, we have a win-win outcome is forecast here, full moon in Libra. Now, this full moon in Libra would be taking place. First off, we have a new moon in Aquarius, again, the 17th. But this full moon in Libra takes place in Aries season, so not that far off. Show me for my air signs, Gemini, Libra, and Aquarius here for this Leo new moon. What is the energy around them? Wow, the Tower. Okay. Ooh, okay, Judgment. A lot of Scorpio energy there, Aries energy, more Aquarius energy, also Aries sometimes. But yes, I would say, yeah, with Aries being there already, the Fool, okay. I feel like you're having something come on the scene unexpectedly, okay, or surprisingly, and you're going to be required to make a decision about this, and it's going to be something completely new, a whole different direction, or a whole new thing, whole new person, whole new job, whatever it is. And I think there could be some fears that come up for you. And the 8 of Cups, you've got to be kidding. Show me this 8 of Cups, the Sun. Listen, some of you, I feel like this is 50-50, but I also feel like whatever you decide, it's the right decision for you. Some of you will walk away from this because, like, yeah, you can offer me this job that pays me $1 million a year. Okay, I'm just being exaggerative because my Scorpio not being tucked in. But then it's going to take all my time and I'm going to be away from my family all the time. And that's not what's going to make me happy. So some of you could be walking away from something because it's not going to make you happy. And there could be something like you're having like a realization about this, or there could be some kind of growth that you've really gone through where maybe something that you wanted isn't what you want anymore. Yeah, I thought I wanted it, but now I'm seeing that this is really what I wanted. This is really what calls to me. So there's something like this. I feel like there is going to be some sort of decision made. You're going to make the right decision for yourself. But you could have some fears around like, but if I do this, then that could happen. Again, difficulty kind of seeing around the bend. Whatever you choose, okay, I feel like it's the right direction. I feel like especially if you're leaning into some kind of fear, okay? All right, water signs. Cancer, Pisces, and Scorpio. What is the overall energy here, please, for this full moon? We have communication is key, new moon in Gemini. All right. Show me. For my water signs. For this full moon in Leo. Thank you. 2 of Cups. Okay, water signs. This feels like some kind of conversation you're going to be happening. Yeah. The Hermit with somebody here. And we have Justice. It could be making something right. Okay. It could be getting things on the same page. It could be installing some kind of harmony in a situation. I feel like it's a deeper truth here that's being shared, or like upon further reflection, upon further discussion, whatever. It feels more like reflection with the Hermit there. This is the truth that I've come to. This is what's right for me. This is what I feel like is justified, or what I feel like is right. Yeah, there's the Emperor as well. So honoring that. This is honoring some kind of emotional truth. Yeah, absolutely. The Ace of Cups. And then being able to express that because it is our deepest truth. That truth is going to assist in something being harmonized or something working out or something coming together. It's also going to, like you being able to communicate that truth and honoring that truth, also is going to raise your frequency. So I feel like there could be a significant conversation that is going to be happening around this full moon. And you're going to have a real opportunity here to let some kind of emotional truth or some kind of truth that you have, a deeper truth that you have, really be heard. Okay. So let's get a crystal here and see what best supports us um, through this. Oh, that one right there. Oh, man, that was fast. Okay, this is fluorite. All right, let's read up on fluorite here. All right, again, the crystal that can best support you here during this Leo full moon. Um, it's saying, yes, thank you, fluorite. Okay, fluorite. All right, so it is a mental clarity and energetic order stone. Um, Fluorite works through the mind and subtle body architecture, it says. It clears confusion, overwhelm, and mental fog. It helps organize thoughts and information. It's excellent for people who absorb too much from others. It restores coherence when your mind feels scattered. It's not a stone that pushes insight, but it's going to create space for it to land cleanly. It acts as an energetic filter. It pulls out energetic noise, interference, and emotional residue. It's very helpful for empaths, intuitives, readers, and healers. It strengthens energetic boundaries without hardening them. It says a clean the room stone. It resets your energetic field. It's great for the third eye and crown chakra because it enhances discernment, not psychic overload. It helps separate intuition from imagination. Perfect for all these planets moving out of Pisces into Aries. Please go watch the February astrology. It's not as I mentioned, they're an anticlimactic month. It supports clear perception without emotional distortion. It's especially powerful when intuition feels noisy or unreliable. Feels like a good stone for this full moon. It stabilizes mood swings. It helps detach from emotional chaos without dissociation. It encourages calm observation rather than reaction, and it's going to teach neutral awareness. Okay. All right. It says it's good to place it near your workspace or altar. Use it during study, writing, planning. Hold during meditation when your thoughts feel tangled. Cleanse often. Fluorite absorbs a lot. Okay. Good deal. All right, so this feels like the perfect stone actually for this full moon based off what we saw in this reading. I mean, you might even utilize this with the stone that we got for February. But certainly during this Leo full moon. So, all right, loves, I'm going to get this to you. I'm sending you all the love. I appreciate your presence here. Feel free to reach out if you need anything or have any questions. I'm always here to help you. I'm happy to do that. I will see you guys in the next one. Take care.